Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Dirt 3. Let's keep going. Quickly hop into the next race, and the game wants me to play the latest car I've unlocked, but the DLC car is always at the beginning, and therefore I have to make a conscious effort to take that car.
Last race's fastest time was pretty impressive to watch. Let's see if you can do it again.
It's really unfair for there to be a DLC cars, which is what I assume these are, that are way better than any of the other cars. And even though they're way better than the other cars, they still statistically, by the horsepower and the weight, are only, they look the same, but the rewards you get in reputation for driving them are much higher. This almost feels like just a drag race here in Kenya. I imagine if you're gonna make a Kenya race track, you can do practically anything you want with it. And who's gonna complain if you're not factually accurate? The Kenyans probably won't even see this game, and if they do, would they really even care? As long as it's not insultingly inaccurate, it's close enough. I would guess there's probably less trees in Kenya than what we're seeing here, and less bushes, but maybe not. I imagine there would be more different shades of dirt and such. Maybe less ponds of water. But without being more expertly familiar with the area, it could be any desert, anywhere. Are these buildings accurate to Kenyan architecture? Who knows? Are these plants native to Kenya? Who knows? Is the sun rising and setting in the correct orientation to Kenya? Who knows? Is that mountain back there Mount Kilimanjaro? I don't know. I didn't think Mount Kilimanjaro was anywhere near Kenya, but whatever. I suppose driving around on mountains would work if there is an actual track there, but it also would not make a lot of sense. Like, if we were driving around Mount Rushmore in the Yellowstone National Park, I think that's where Mount Rushmore is, would that really be a great place to drive, or not really, because there aren't any roads there. I might get silly and make a racetrack on the ocean, just floating roads, but that's kind of a Mario Kart style mentality. It's just Star Road. Why not? It doesn't have to be realistic. This game wraps itself in realism, and quite handily protects itself from a lot of criticism by looking realistic, but once you take the realism out of it, you start to see the flaws in this game. Most notably, the lack of tracks. For the number of races that we have to do, the lack of tracks is pretty obvious. I wouldn't mind driving around an active volcano, but of course that would never happen in the real world. They could do something like the wine hills of France or California. Those are very rocky, very curvy areas, so you could do some of that. There's some really bad roads in LA that you could try and drive on. They're very windy and curvy. but when you look at Kenya specifically, and I've said this before, it seems like what they did is they made 3 maps, or 3 or 4 maps. There's Michigan, the smelter, there's Shibuya, Japan, there's Monte Carlo, there's Kenya, so that's 4 right there, and I'm sure there's a couple more out somewhere in this. They made like that small number of maps and then several racetracks around the maps so that they could reuse the animation and 3D modeling and layouts that they had already done. And particularly in Kenya, you can see that this was probably the last one they worked on, and they put the least amount of effort into it, and you don't really have to put too much effort into it because 90% of all the map is just going to be dirt and empty space, where Shibuya is all buildings, so you would have to 3D model and lay out an entire city, or a portion of the city really, but maybe that was already done. Yeah. And see, we're not in a position race, we're in a rally car race, so every time I cross the time, I should go back to first place if I have the fastest time. Yes, but then it fades away as soon as somebody who started ahead of me passes another split location, split part of the map. And so then I don't know what position I'm in now, and I'm waiting to see. Until somebody else has the time they put in, I don't even know the time to beat. So Jax Porter and Henry both started before me, and they have a time, which also means that passing is not necessary, but I'm doing it anyways, that's a definite confirmation that I'm going faster than they are. But there's still one person who's very far ahead of me, and I don't think I will actually pass that player before, well, that car before the end of the race. I could still screw up here, particularly in this style of car, because I could crash or just hit the wall. Wouldn't be the first time that we totally blew it at the final checkpoint. So I wasn't in first position, but by 32 seconds I was in first place.
You've become an amazing racer, dude. Rock on!
Yeah, a few more races like that and you'll be invited to the Winter X Games.
I've already been invited to the Winter X Games. What's funny is she called me dude instead of Great One. So the nickname has only been used like 4 times in the entire game. It's a really pointless feature.
Congratulations! You've made the list of the best Trailblazer drivers in the world, and now they want you on the world tour.
This is huge, compadre. Way to go. Do well here, and no one's gonna be able to touch your driver rep.
Sure, but you gotta win some races before that happens. Now let's see what you've got.
Okay, so I'm starting to understand, I think, what's going on here. So this was rally car racing. This was Rallycross racing. This was Trailblazer racing. And this was Landrush. And so, if one of these is Gymkhana racing, then we won't unlock it because of that. But we have a chance of unlocking this. And see, I can just, as I'm looking at the clear glass, I can kind of see something etched as far as the logo into it, but I can't make it out. I think this one's the Gymkhana though. However, if that's the way things are going to be, this is good, because now that means less of the game is going to be locked to me, and so we need to hurry up and start Finland. That's another location I failed to mention. So, yeah. That would be really nice if
The rains make the
there's
track
only
pretty
like
slippy.
one thing
Only someone
unlocked.
like you would thrive in these conditions.
Only someone like me. Gee, that almost sounds like an insult. It's like, am I amphibian? Personally, no, I wouldn't thrive in rainy, humid environments. It's not particularly what I am a fan of. I prefer just a mild, cool, cloudy environment with an occasional drizzle so that I'm not in a land with drought or with water restrictions, and a land with greenery, well, despite possibly being allergic to some plants, I think I would prefer to have them around. So, yeah, I just want to, I would think I'd thrive mostly in a mild climate. Not too moist, not too dry. Not too bright and sunny, not too hot, not too cold. Although, if I lived, say, at the North Pole or South Pole, where it was just always frozen, it would give me the perfect excuse to stay inside always. But that's kind of it. There would be so many counter arguments to living in an incredibly cold place. If I went to a place like Mars where there is no liquid at all, or at least as far as we know, right now there's no liquid, and it's just completely dry. No, I don't think I'd enjoy that either. Plus, of course, Mars gets incredibly cold at night, so you kind of have the worst of both. Incredibly hot during the day, incredibly cold at night. No atmosphere to reflect heat. A very thin atmosphere. Ideally, I just don't want to have to worry about the weather. I don't want to have to talk about the weather either. I've worked some jobs where, like, every day, somebody talks about the weather, and I'm like, come on, you're gonna do this again? We did this yesterday, and the day before. You've been doing this for the past month. Every single day, same conversations, over and over again. I'm like, gosh, just, if you got nothing new to say nothing. Okay, I've messed that one up. In particular, there's a type of person that can't stand silence or is intentionally trying to always create conversation because they don't have anything better to do. And I imagine that's probably what a lot of kids did in school too, is that they're always talking, and that's usually why you have teachers always telling them to be quiet. But then the teachers are always talking too. At least there was considerably less downtime. But yeah, I've had a couple jobs where people don't really have anything they're supposed to do, and so they're just sitting around talking and wasting time. Wait until they can clock out. And it sounds nice, but it kind of sucks, because then you're just wasting your life away, if you care about that. And that's not something that I eventually decided that I wanted for myself, is that I would much prefer do this on YouTube and not really be that much of a success on YouTube, and still enjoy what I'm doing and make some progress. Even though in this game it's taking an incredibly long amount of time to actually finish this game, I know I will eventually finish this game. Whereas I've been in jobs where projects have been announced and then they've been in development for years, and then they've never gotten anywhere, and then they've been put on hold, they've been canceled, and it's just like, wow, you never do anything. And every day I get a little bit older, and I'd rather go home feeling like I accomplished something. Even if you worked like a job at McDonald's, which is not the kind of jobs that I've been talking about. At the end of the day, you could probably tally up that you cooked so many burgers, you served so many meals. Are you really doing anything for yourself there? No, but there's that tiny bit of reward you can choose to give yourself for saying at least you did something. Whereas, imagine you worked at McDonald's and nobody came in at all. You're just standing around doing nothing for 8 hours. That would probably be cool for one day, but after a month of that, 2 months, 3 months, there's certainly some stores that used to be in malls that were like that, and kiosk salesmen are kind of like that. Get 1 or 2 sales a day, and often what that's come down to is that you're on commission sales, so you're getting paid nothing or below minimum wage plus commissions. That's what car salesmen kind of are, is that they're, or real estate agents. They spend most of their time not doing much, although if you're an actual good real estate agent, you'd be contacting people and showing houses to people, but until you get a sale in a job like that, that's your only income. And that's the only thing that feels like you succeeded. And this probably says something about me, that I feel the need to feel like I'm doing something. Get out of my way, car. I probably would have gone first even if I wasn't slightly ahead of that car. Yeah, by 10 seconds I won. But I don't think that's odd. I don't think that's different from most people. I think most people do want to feel like they've accomplished something at the end of the day. And that's something employers have to kind of work towards too, is to find out how they can satisfy and motivate people and make them happy with their job. Otherwise people will just be unhappy with their job and eventually leave, or do such a poor job that they're eventually forced to be fired.
You didn't put a single dent in the car last time. Now that's what I call clean driving. Keep it up.
Interesting. I was crashing right into the back of that car, and yet I didn't put a single dent in it. Maybe it's talking about the race I did in the Gold Series before this. That would be too confusing, if that's the case. Maybe it's talking about the last time I drove a truck. Maybe it just says random things. I would hope it isn't just saying random things, because then there would be a chance that I crash a car terribly. We're back to the smelter in trucks this time. Maybe my bumper just took the brunt of it and didn't actually dent. So we're in 4th position. We got up to 83 miles per hour. If we can get these 3 out of the way. It's a little bit harder to pass in trucks because they're a little bit bigger cars. Longer, at least. 3rd position, 2nd position, and we'll make it to 1st. I guess I should try to make it a goal to get to 1st position before I hit the 2nd lap. But honestly, don't think that it's really possible. If it is possible, it's going to be based on a level of driving that I don't understand or know. And we still have that feeling very much. I feel like the game is helping me and assisting me so much, and I know it is, that I haven't actually learned anything. For example, imagine you're teaching a kid the ABCs, and you've taught them that, and they should know. And so you go, what's the first letter? And they go, I don't know. And then you go, it's A. And then you go, okay, so what's the second letter? And they go, I don't know. And then the teacher goes, it's B. And you do it for just all 26 letters. You're just helping them so much that they've learned to become dependent on that help and just have the teacher answer instead of doing it themselves. Whereas a better teaching method is, you would say, what's the first letter of the alphabet? And you could say, and then they go, I don't know. Then you would give them hints. Well, it's also the first letter of apple, and it's also the first letter of the word alphabet, and it's also the first letter of a ape. And then you give some examples, and you sound out the letter A, but you don't. What you don't do is you don't cross that line, and you don't ever say it's A. You don't help them that far, because then you're just feeding the answer. What you do, if they honestly couldn't, even with multiple examples and getting frustrated, you would move on to the next letter. You just say, well, we'll figure it out later. What's the second letter? And if they literally can't tell you any of them, and they're of the right age that they should know the alphabet, and they've heard it, and they've sung the ABCs and done all these things, and they literally won't or can't answer, then you probably need to send your kid to a specialist to see if they have a learning disability, or perhaps they're just really, really committed to not answering any questions. But enroll them into an early learner CIA program, because they'll be a great spy. They'll never crack under interrogation. That would be weird if there was something like that. It's like, from age 6, I've been trained by the CIA to be the best spy ever. I know secrets that have secrets. But to get back to this game, instead of having my mind wander into crazy places, which is just another example of this game is just getting more and more boring as the races go on and on. I feel like the game is feeding me the answers. It's telling me the first letter of the alphabet is A, and then the second letter. Before it even asks me, it's telling me. It's assisting me in the driving. Before it even lets me fail, it feels like. Because I should be failing a lot more. It shouldn't be so easy to follow this green line and just have the accelerator constantly down. It should be flashing errors more than just the little kickbacks on the muffler, which the game never even explained if the muffler flaring was a bad thing. I'm just assuming it is. It may be a good thing. That might be an indicator of peak driving. And there needs to be a scoring
Another
system.
brilliant finish.
A
I smell
star
hot chocolate
system.
in our future. And ski bunnies. Yes.
Hot chocolate and ski bunnies. Okay, well, ski bunnies are beautiful lady skiers, I would assume. Although I guess you could have male ski bunnies and hot chocolate. But you kind of have to remember what this is, what he's even talking about. He's talking about going to the Winter Games. Interesting, it didn't say anything there. It popped up the little blue microphone, and it just didn't have anything to say. Weird. Weird. So, that's one more of those races done. Maybe we could do speedrun. We need 20 more points to get to the finale. But we also need to do these Trailblazer races and catch back up. It's a weird system, actually, because you end up unlocking something right about the time when you want to focus on just doing the season races, and it just gives you this distraction that honestly is just a distraction. It's not even really doing anything for me to do these world tour things, is it? Anyways, that's gonna be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.